Hello everyone, this is Gian. I'm back with another video. So, first of all, as always, I hope you're all well. It's almost 3:30 in the afternoon here in the city. It's been a pretty dreary day. I'm actually quite tired, but I figured let me try to do a video relatively quickly for me. So let's see what happens. As always, I hope that whether this is your first video or your 100th, that you enjoy the content and that you continue to enjoy the content. So, what this video is going to be doing is looking at a few tweets from a few people at DC Comics regarding the controversy that has become the Wonder Woman 1984 cover girl image. Right? I've already said my piece on it. I've made about what, three? This will probably be the fourth video on it, so I'm not going to rehash what my personal opinions are of this image. The best way I can sum it up quickly is to say, thanks, I hate it. And if you've seen my other videos where I've gone into more detail, you know why. So, what I wanted to examine is DC and the art of the double down. Right? So, we're going to start with this tweet, one of many, from Amy Brockway Metcalf. Right? Where she says, I'm an art director at DC and this is one of my favorite variant covers ever. Well, Amy, to quote a certain film that caught a bit of flack earlier this year, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. More importantly though, I want to examine what this tweet really is, in my opinion, because it is more than just an individual on Twitter expressing an opinion that happens to run counter to mine. If it were simply that, I would say nothing. But what this really is, in my opinion, is an appeal to authority. Now, you may be wondering, well, how is it an appeal to authority? Well, simple. I'm an art director at DC. She's leaning on her affiliation with the company, being an employee, and her title as art director, right? This is intended, in my opinion, to give her tweet, which is her opinion ultimately, more weight, right? Because when it comes to critique of art, when it comes to critique of art, who could you listen to, right? Whose opinion would have more weight in your mind? That of a regular fan, a regular person who is not an artist by trade, right? Who never went to art school, right? Some random rando on the internet, some middle-aged, heavyset woman from New York City, right? Would you trust her opinion, or would you trust the opinion of an art director at DC, right? Here's the thing, though, right? And let's continue. Right? She says here that this amazing cover is a step in the right direction. Don't like it? Cool. There's probably 40 other covers of the same comic for you to choose from. Personally, I like the final product because it looks a lot like my 1984 ninth grade school picture. So here's the issue that I have with this particular tweet, right? First of all, to me, there's a logical fallacy here, which is the idea of you should just keep your opinion to yourself because there are, according to her, 40 other covers of the same comic. You see, it doesn't matter if there are multiple other versions. Excuse me. Apologies. It doesn't matter if there are 40 plus covers or 40 alternate versions of the same comic or comic cover. It's an opinion. It's an opinion on a piece of pop art. It doesn't matter if there's better out there. It doesn't matter if there's worse out there. You can still have an opinion on something, even if there are, as she says, other covers for you to choose from. No one ever said anything about a lack of choice. I have yet to see any video talking about a lack of choice. That was never the issue. The issue is that this image is meant to represent Wonder Woman, and on a grander scale, the Wonder Woman brand, and ultimately DC itself. And more importantly, it's supposed to represent this not internally, just to DC or to Marvel or to the comics and mainstream comics industry at large. It's meant to represent Wonder Woman and DC to the public. Excuse me. Apologies, my door kind of became opened up. But anyways, I was saying, right, the point of this image, this cover, or any cover of any comic book, especially coming from a mainstream company such as DC or Marvel, is that it represents the company. It speaks for the quality of the product and ultimately what the company is producing. When you put out something that is received by the tiny, minuscule audience you have left that actually gives a damn about this still, and they have a very negative reaction, then guess what? You've mucked up. You have messed up royally. It doesn't matter if there are other covers. It doesn't matter if you like the final product because it reminds you of your ninth grade school picture. None of that matters. What matters is the opinion of your audience, of the tiny little audience that your company and the industry as a whole has left. And the opinion of that audience is that this cover has been found lacking, severely lacking. Now, she also writes that one final note if you've gotten this far. She had several other tweets that I don't find interesting or necessary to the conversation here. So it says here, one final note if you've gotten this far. I designed the young reader books at DC. Okay, well, we now know the audience she's reaching out to, the Young Adult Club. I'm so proud of the diverse talent we hire to tell meaningful stories in our ever expanding sandbox. I love seeing DCU going in this same direction. Back to packing, hugs, kisses, I guess, XO. Well, here's the thing. She says here that she's proud of the diverse talent, right? Of course, diverse these days meaning not white, not male, and oftentimes not of the heterosexual persuasion, right? So, not of what was, how do I put it, right? I guess you could say, but was once it's considered the mainstream or the norm, right? The majority of historic artists in comics history. If you look at art, you know, Jack Kirby, trying to think, John Romita, John Byrne, Frank Cho, Jay Lee, right? Many others throughout history, right? Adam Hughes, many others, right? Tend to have certain things in common. Being white, not always. For example, Frank Cho and Jay Lee are Korean, but mainly being white and being male, right? So she's talking about that she's proud of the diverse talent that doesn't fall into those categories. And here's the thing, I'd have no problem with her being proud of the diverse talent if the diverse talent were putting out good product. Right? They're putting out good product, there would be no problem here. There would be no complaint. But your audience has again and again and again and again found your product lacking. So you might want to look at your diverse talent pool and ask them, what the hell is going on? Why is our audience angry at us? Right? Do we tell meaningful stories in our ever expanding sound? See, here's one of the problems. You're not telling meaningful stories anymore. Right? You might be telling stories that mean something to you. As you said earlier, right? This image reminds you of your 1984 ninth grade high school, ninth grade school picture. But that's the thing. It's a very selfish mindset. Well, it reminds me of myself at a certain time in life. There's nothing wrong with having something personal and meaningful to you in a work. Many authors and writers and artists um, use their medium to express themselves, their opinions, their feelings, their experiences, their likes and dislikes, and all of the types of things in the work. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But there's a difference between expressing an element of yourself in the work and then having the work be about yourself. If you want to work that is about you, right? All about you, those exist. It's called an autobiography. Write one, right? And then we have Andy Corey saying Robin. Of course, this is to Robin Eisenberg, who is the woman who drew the much maligned Wonder Woman cover. So it says, Robin, I'm a DC editor and I love your work. The reaction to the Wonder Woman cover on Twitter was provoked by a small group of trolls and is not representative of the larger, sophisticated, and enthusiastic readership I've come to know. Your art is inspiring and your response is wonderful. Well, again, he starts out with this appeal to authority, right? I am a DC editor and I love your work. You see, here's the beauty of being a fan. I don't have to give a damn what the employees of the company think, what the supposed experts think. First of all, he's an editor, so So what he edits, to my understanding, would principally be the writing, right? The script. He's not editing the art. He's not part of the art team. Your art team is usually the person who draws the image, does the lineup, does the pencil art, the line art. Then you have your inker, right, who goes over that, and then you have your colorist, right? So generally speaking, it's about three people, maybe four if you count the letterer, right? But the job of the editor is to, at least one of the many responsibilities of the editor is to edit the script for the comic, right? You look over the writing, not the art. So he's trying to appeal to authority, but his appeal to authority is on the wrong subject, right? Because what he does is look at words. He doesn't analyze art. He doesn't do art. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to flex, but you're flexing on the wrong topic, chief. But anyway, but here's the thing. I probably would not respond to this if he had just ended it with the first sentence, because here's the thing. Andy Corey has a right to his own opinions. I can disagree with them all I want, but he has a right to his opinions. And had he just stopped here and said, look, I work at the company, this is the role I have, and I love your work, I would have said, you know what? He and I disagree on this, but I'm not going to say anything because he has a right to his opinions. Art is subjective, and as the old saying goes, there is no accounting for taste. Here's the reason why I decided to make this video. The next part, right? The reaction to the Wonder Woman cover on Twitter was provoked by a small group of trolls that is not representative of the larger, sophisticated, enthusiastic readership I've come to know. And again, it is this shaming, blaming, labeling, and ultimately attempt at dismissing the critiques and reactions, mainly on Twitter. But here's the thing: many people, like myself, right? Even though we may not respond on Twitter, we find out about this. We take screenshots from Twitter, as I did here, and then we make content on a different platform. In this case, YouTube. Right, so it's this idea of, oh, it's just trolls. It's just trolls. It's not representative of the readership I've come to know. Well, here's your thing. Your readership is dying out. Because, as I've often said, the silent majority speaks the loudest. They may not go through the effort that I and others go through to make videos to express our opinions, but they express their opinions in other ways. One of those ways is simply not purchasing your product. And I would imagine that in this case, that these sophisticated, enthusiastic, large readership he's talking about are basically the sycophants who will agree with anything DC does and says because it's DC and they need a place to belong. I don't know about you, but for me, if I had fans that didn't think for themselves, I'd be very, very, very concerned. right? And then, of course, there's the original part, which is the small group of trolls, right? Which, of course, is the vocal minority, people like myself. Andy, I'm no troll. I'm an opinionated fat woman from New York City, but I am not a troll. More importantly, he how do I put it? The point of trolling and the point of perhaps pointed and harsh critique are two different things. The point of trolling is to get under a person's skin, to get a rise out of them, to get a reaction, right? There's no positive element to it. There's no other goal than to see someone upset, right? There have been many studies and articles written about trolling and why people troll, but in the end, it's just to make people mad for the sake of making people mad. Many people, for example, Nerdette's Newsstand, have floated the opinion that that comic cover ultimately was a troll by DC, and you know what? They might be right. Tristan and those who share in her opinion on that might be right, which I think says a lot more about DC than it ever will say about the people who took the bait, as it were, such as myself in this case. Right? But that's a troll, right? Getting under someone's skin just to provoke a oftentimes negative reaction. That's trolling. Right? Critique is different. In most instances, critique, even if it's harsh, right, is meant to point out the weaknesses or the flaws in a work in the hopes that the creator of the work, right, or the creators, the people behind the work, will take the critique, work on those weak spots, and make them better so that the whole work is improved and is better. The point of critique is to improve the work overall, right? And I want to be clear. I've received plenty of critique in my life, especially when I was in school, especially like in English class and whatnot. And yes, being critiqued can be incredibly frustrating. It can feel like an attack. It can feel unjustified. It can be incredibly frustrating. I remember my high school and college English classes vividly, and I did not enjoy them. But the purpose of critique is to point out weak spots and mistakes for improvement, right? So that paper that was maybe a B can now be a B plus or even an A minus, right? Or that comic cover that is largely reviled by your audience, right? Maybe the next comic cover you make, if you listen to the critiques, might be better received. It's about having a better outcome the next time you attempt to do whatever it is you are being critiqued for, right? So the fact that he would try to dismiss critique by mislabeling it as trolling, right, shows me exactly where Andy's head is not at. Andy doesn't want anyone telling him or telling the artist or telling the company as a whole that they need to improve. They've literally just had several layoffs of big name, high profile people, but Andy here is doubling down, right? And saying that we don't need help. We don't need critique. Anybody who's telling us where we did wrong, or anybody who's expressing a negative opinion is just a troll. Well, you know what, Andy? You might consider me a troll. But you know what? I'm not the one working for the comic company that's going to go under any day now. You are. So you might want to reconsider how you present yourself online before you call people small groups of trolls just because they have a negative opinion about something. You can love Robin Eisenberg's work. No problem there. We would disagree, but again, you're entitled to your personal opinion. What you are not entitled to, however, Mr. Corey, is to uh, uh, shame, right, and use these insulting labels, right, because the fact that you want to put your fingers in your ears and go, "I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you." For every critique that you have received, you are proving yourself and ultimately your company, the company you work for, because when you work for a company, you are a representative of them. You are showing yourself to be terribly, terribly immature about things, Mr. Corey. So you might want to grow up a little bit. Just a piece of advice from an old, middle aged fat woman from New York City. Anyhow, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. Day, night, evening, wherever you are. Be happy, be healthy, be safe, and I'll see you around the next video. Bye.